So this is how it ends. Rotting away chained to a wall. All because of my family. I thought I'd escaped that legacy. I thought I could finally be free to actually enjoy life. To taste and feel and experience something beyond that blighted place. I suppose I did at least get something. The city had so many lovely things to experience. My new friends certainly offered much, even if it turns out it was only for a little time. But the past has a way of hounding you, doesn't it? All started when that imposter came. Not a blackmailer in the end, but something worse, perhaps? I thought them just an amusement for a time. Something that might even make my sister laugh. Then I found out. The castle. All who lived there. Gone. A freak accident according to the road wardens. The plague's gone, though. It did start to make me wonder how coincidental that my sister should have left this world around the exact same time an imposter suddenly takes her name. Yet, all the imposter seemed to want to do was be a doctor of all things. I was determined to find out the truth. But, well, it's too late now. It hurts so much. All this pain. And for what? Questions about grandfather's damned research and treasures. Sister was the only one who ever cared about any of that. I certainly didn't. The secret treasure in the castle. I've missed you so much, Marguerite. You were always the one who deserved better. You're the one who deserved to come to this city and be a doctor, not this woman. I wish I could feel I'd be seeing you soon. But, well, thanks to my friends in the Jade Scepter, I have a feeling my soul will be going to a very different place to you. I only wish I could have dealt with that imposter. I think they killed you. Killed everyone, somehow. But I have no idea how. Oh well. I always said, sister, our family would be the death of us. One way or another. This is Red Moon Roleplaying. It's been a long and dark night, and for some of you it's time to get some rest, but you wanted to discuss something first, Heinrich, with the wizard. And so you drew him back into that dark, horrible warehouse, just the two of you, for a quick conversation. What do you tell him?
Well, immediately my first instinct is to prevent Gerner from panicking. Anything dangerous, putting that aside. So, with the body in the position to be burned, I'll raise my hands up to my shoulders and say, no need to worry. It's not that kind of meeting.
I do look a little bit nervous. I stand steady and I look at you while you're preparing this thing that you're doing. I'm watching quite intently the whole way through. And I say, of course, I wouldn't expect it, or you would have kept your two new... What do you even call them? Two assistants?
Interrogators, I believe is the title.
Interrogators. Well, I did see you react to some of the things that we were talking to, so let's not beat around the bush then.
No, it does seem that we've attracted all kinds of attention in our labors. That's actually not why I'm keeping you here, though. And as Heinrich is speaking, he's still going through the motions of preparing the body and finding, a pitch or something like that to prepare it, as to avoid making eye contact in a way that will make sense as he continues his story. Yes, you weren't all the only ones having adventures on the last few months. When I was dispatched back to Middenheim by the Order, I was told to stop by a small town, Unterhaus, one of the innumerable mining villages. If you've seen one, you've seen them all in the Reichland. There's apparently been rumors of a possession, of someone gone missing, you know, the usual.
I nod. Sure.
When we arrived, the place was deserted. Not in the friendly way, in the disappearing overnight kind of way. And wouldn't you know that in the mine we found, well, I suppose it's a man by the standards of the Reich, but a boy by the standards of the mind, tucked away in the mining barracks, swearing he'd done nothing wrong.
And did you think he spoke the truth?
No, judging by the way that his body reanimated after the fact, I imagine not. I can't say I had all that information on hand when I made the decision, but that's a bit beside the point. Because you'll never have all the information, will you?
No, unfortunately. Yeah, well, you could only wish that you had. But anyway, where is this going?
Well, that wasn't the only option that I had, of course, not in the moral sense, but in the actual strictures of my order. They seemed not enthusiastic about the idea, but they did mention that if the boy, in my opinion, was capable of being saved, that I was within my remit to turn him over to the guild. And as I understand it, that is an option that someone once invoked on your behalf as well.
Well, yes, when my... Well, my powers started to manifest, then yes, I was quickly taken out of the village by my grandfather. If he hadn't, then I wouldn't be here today, I think.
No, and judging by the enthusiasm with which some of my fellows approach their craft, I imagine neither your grandfather nor your village would be here today.
No. I sigh a bit, but I look a bit more comfortable and I look for something to sit on, and if I don't find anything, I'll just sit on the floor for a bit, leaving my staff across my legs.
Thus we arrive at our question. And saying this, I will strike the flint and the steel and light the torch that I'm now holding over the other Wittgenstein's body. How is it you knew that you could be saved?
What do you mean? How I knew I could be saved?
You or your grandfather. I'm presuming your grandfather is the good imperial sort?
Well, yes. He's a knight and he served in the Empire's armies. Oh, was, before he settled down for the village life.
Then I have to believe, if he imagined that you were a vessel for chaos, that if there was nothing redeemable about you, that your powers were beyond control, he would have either put you down himself or turned you over to someone who would, and yet neither of those things happened. Your grandfather saw you to safety, and the witch hunters who escorted you did not see you to be a threat.
Well, you know how fun it is when the place where everyone comes together and it's war, and it's the army. You know that there are plenty of wizards in the army, no?
Oh, of course, they do great services to the Empire. The legends of Balthazar Gelt and all of them from top to bottom, right? I appreciate that those of your skill need to exist.
So, that is the way it goes, really. That's what my not like he made any good friends among them. We don't tend to get that many friends except among ourselves. We get mostly strange side eyes. But that's where he found out himself that, some people that harness these sort of powers, they do actually serve well and are not necessarily wrong. And I suppose that leads to the answer of your question. How did he know that I could be saved or redeemed? Well, he had witnessed people using the powers for good. And that was his hope, that I could do the same one day, perhaps, rather than ending up on, well, like this, and I gesture at the body as it starts setting fire.
Not to mention, although you may be unsure if you should share this, but you also know that you have passed the test of your order. You have sat in the dark of Ulgu. You listened to the whispers, and you refuted them. But you're not sure if you should be saying that sort of thing to this witch hunter. But maybe you can.
Yes, maybe I can. I am eyeing him, and I am trying to get a read as I say these things, because I'm not sure if they are meant to be used against me, or if he has a genuine wish to understand. I just don't know him that well, but I want to believe the good. I just drop one thing at a time for now.
Well, allow me to perhaps clarify, Gerner. I'm asking you because I don't think that boy will be the last time that I am asked to exercise the Emperor's judgment. And between you and me, I would rather get that question right more often than I get it wrong. It would be a very easy thing to see every tempted body and doom it to the fire. But I expect that is not in the best interest of the Empire, or the best interest of my conscience, should it survive. So at a certain point, someone looked at you and they knew that you would be able to turn back the whispers of the great unclean one, or the prince, or all of them. That there was something inside of you that said, you should live.
Well, wherever someone with my abilities are taken, whether it be to the guild here in Middenheim or any of the colleges, believe me, they'll be tested rigorously. If it's something that our kind is keen to show, is that we can look after ourselves and we can be of service, we wouldn't let anyone out or anyone in, I suppose, depending on how you see it, that we thought would easily fall offer to any sort of temptation. So if you bring such a boy, if you did, then once they're there, they are the duty of the mages, of the wizards. So if they were weak in any sort of way to these sort of things, they would ask, well, I was about to say too much there, I realized to myself. They would make him disappear.
No, it's fine. You can... Every order has its secrets.
How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, Heinrich? You remember exactly what happened. You convinced the boy. He trusted you, that's why he came out. He didn't do anything until you shot him.
I understand it's a difficult question to get to the bottom of, but for all his reassurances, I don't think Gerner's actually managed to set anything aside in me, because whether or not a wizard can tell another wizard and train them or whatever is a bit beside the point when those wizards aren't the one who have to share a carriage with the boy for the days or weeks it takes to get them somewhere safe.
That's true. And the truth, Gerner, is if you really think about it, there is no answer. All you can tell this Inquisitor is what you believe. That is all.
If you were to meet someone such as that boy again, and I understand that this would take a lot more of your work, because you would have to keep an eye on them all the time, all the way to that college or guild or wherever you would take them. There would not be 1 second of allowance that you could feel fully sure that something bad won't happen along the way. But if you did, then you might very well save someone's soul.
At this, Heinrich gives a bit of a chuckle that doesn't seem right for the mood, but follows it with, well, that seems like a terrible amount of responsibility to give one man, doesn't it?
I smile slowly. Yes, that it does. But let me tell you something before we finish here today. I have a dream of, people being slightly less scared, slightly less afraid of those with my gifts. I have a dream where those who would show signs of it would just simply be taken to the colleges, and that would be that. No need for other temptation or corruption. And part of me would see it as a long time, maybe ambition of sorts, to go out there and educate people in villages, telling them that it's not always bad. And I just saw this in my head. Imagine us doing that together. Imagine a wizard next to a witch hunter. What could be a more convincing case?
You already hear in your mind, Heinrich, the words of one of your mentors very recently. How it is all dangerous. How all the servants of the archenemy lie and cheat and seek to damn all good souls. But it is just a memory.
I can appreciate your ambition, and were that the Empire a simpler place. But I think both your superiors and mine would require quite a bit of convincing before such a thing would come to pass.
Of course, I'm not saying it's a small ambition in any way, in any case. By any means, it's just something that I believe could save lives and make some turn out for the better.
Well, I will make you this promise then, Herr Stark. So long as we are traveling together, any future person that we encounter, I will be sure to let you get a good look at them before we make any rash decisions.
I nod, and my hands slide a bit across my staff, and I then put it to the floor and stand up. Well, I appreciate that promise, and likewise, if I see someone who I believe is beyond redemption, I myself will not hesitate to strike them down.
Ah, well, let's hope it won't come to that. In any case, the smell in here isn't going to get any better, and I have prayers to attend to.
As we leave and get out of the place, I watch you go, whatever you head in Middenheim, and I stand there for a second, and then I take out a small envelope that I hold in my hand, and I turn it over a few times, and then I think to myself that I'm a fool, absolute fool, and shake my head, and I press the sigil on the envelope and put it back into one of the side compartments of my sleeve.
And with that, how do you conclude your night, Inquisitor Heinrich?
With the body safely disposed of, I should hope that the interrogator made quick work of his charge. But if not, suppose it would be remiss of me to not go and visit them in person. If nothing else, I need to make sure that Emmeline and Berta haven't driven Kruger mad.
No, if anything, they have been the paragons of silent professionalism. And so the body is yours to deal with. It's very easy. There are no demonic possessions here, just a corpse that you burn. And so, day comes around. A busy morning for you, Kruger. The interrogations were simple and quick. The individual didn't really give you anything you didn't really already know, but he did confirm some things that some of the other members of the room seemed to be happy with. After all, you were not interrogating him alone. And so you find yourself in the office of Ulrich Stutzman once again, in the state barracks, in the great plaza in the centre of Middenheim. He is pacing back and forth a little, and looking over an awful lot of documents he seems to have assembled. I'm glad you're here, Kruger. I've sent word for Lady Siegfrieda, for the Inquisitor, and for this Stark fellow. I want all of you here to talk about an awful lot of things. I trust you've read the reports, yes? Again, I think we're making some progress. At this point, Inquisitor Heinrich, you arrive. You have been summoned here today, although you were asked to come alone. Same for you, Gurner Stark. As you both enter the room, the watch commander looks over, and then someone runs in, we think a sort of manservant, and they hand a little letter to the commander, who then frowns. Damn it. Really? The court physician is saying Lady Siegfrieda needs at least a day or two of rest. You said she accompanied you on the things. Could she... I really wanted her here.
Knowing Siegfrieda the way I do, I assure you, sir, if there were any part of her that could have made this meeting, she would have bludgeoned her physician into allowing her to do so.
All right, then. Well, we don't have time for wasting time. Kruger, you are going to be responsible for making sure that everything that happens today is informed to the lady. You are needed. Not just by me, but... Alright, well, the rest of you sit down. I'll explain. I won't waste your time. First of all, the Yellow Fang. How much does everyone in the room at this point know about them, just so we don't repeat ourselves?
Well, for now, they all just a name on the wind. I keep hearing that they will come, and it seems to me that a lot of these murders that have happened recently are connected to them.
Certainly a possibility. Alright then, I'll save you the trouble. They have come. They are these individuals. At least that is what we believe. We believe Yellow Fang is the name of their organization, or possible cult. Although we're still not sure exactly a cult to what. Possibly a Beastman cult, although there are several things that are very unusual about that, but I digress. They are, we pretty much believe, thanks to Kruger's investigations, individuals who were working with the Purple Hand, largely in smuggling, gunpowder, artifacts, even people. However, we also believe they'd be responsible for the thefts that have struck the city of late, and thanks to your investigations last night, we're now pretty sure that they are heavily linked to these disappearances as well. We've managed to find out who we believe is one of their leaders, a sewer jack captain by the name of Rainer Moose. We actually believe an awful lot of them are actually members of the sewer jacks. Ulrich pauses at this point and looks disturbed. You can understand, Kruger. The sewer jacks are part of the Watch, after all, and he is having to admit that a large conspiracy seems to have been formed in the Watch's own. He's not happy about that.
I won't say anything to that, just note that down to myself, that yes, of course, this doesn't look good.
They seem to be very organized then, if they manage to infiltrate the organization, well, the Watch like this.
To a point, yes, they've managed, we believe, to get away with it by simply being inconspicuous. Just another criminal gang, although not one that has too many connections to the Low Kings. Despite that, thankfully, the commander of the sewer jacks, Sergeant Warble, is just as shocked as I am. And I believe that they are not involved. We have managed to, together, try and track down all the individuals linked to this Rainer. They have vanished, unfortunately, but we think we've managed to pick up most of her associates, and we managed to get most of them. But all the rest seem to have vanished. We think fled. But that is not why you are here. I'm sure, Inquisitor, you have more important things to do these days than track down low-life smuggling gangs, and, well, we, the Watch, aren't completely useless, you know.
Oh, of course, but I'm happy to assist in anything that requires an expert hand, at least until something more nefarious arises.
Indeed. We believe they have connections, roots. Some of the stuff, Kruger, you found last night are the names, of course, of villages. Unterfraus, not Brass Keep, but there are other names on those lists that are several places to the east. We believe that's their supply lines. Unterfraus, huh. That's a name that comes up for both you, Heinrich, and you, Gurner. Yes, you remember, actually, that name was on the lists. The name of this village you've just been told privately was the site of a disappearance, and, well, several other things according to the Inquisitor.
Interesting. Part of the supply chain, you say? Do we know where it's coming from?
The city, here. They're taking things out, we think. We're not sure where they go, other than to the Middle Mountains. The mining villages like Unterfraus, for example.
Yes, it's quite strange. I had the privilege of blessing Unterhaus with my presence quite recently in a professional capacity. I can't say it was a pleasant visit. Wouldn't recommend it for anyone seeking to tour the Reich.
Did you see any signs of organized crime?
I must confess that is not an expertise that I myself possess. However, there was one thing that stood a bit out of sorts. There was a barrel of powder, one of the few things to survive. The town itself had been abandoned and the mine collapsed, but sitting outside the mine was a keg of powder bearing the seal of a noble house, the Karsbergers.
Ulrich looks concerned. Wait. Sorry, Inquisitor, slow down. You're telling me that village has been abandoned? The mine collapsed and... Did you say House Karsberger?
Yes, and to be clear, I don't mean abandoned in the sense that they decided to move somewhere else in the Reich. I mean abandoned as in every single man, woman, and child inside has been taken beyond the reach of the Empire.
What happened? This needs to be... Kruger, start writing this down.
I am.
Whether it fits into the purview of the Watch or not, I will reveal the details as such. And in my inquisitorial capacity, I will leave out some of the more personal details, but I will suffice it to say that there was indeed a possession, that the forces of chaos had been detected and dealt with, but if we are concerned about a cult spreading its influence, then yes, a suspicious barrel of powder that is on the supply line does seem something worth mentioning.
Do you mention that you decided to burn the village as well?
Yes.
The commander listens grimly and frowns heavily at the last part, saying, people are not going to be very happy when they hear that last part, Inquisitor. They haven't gotten over the last village that got burned. Don't get me wrong, I respect your profession. I'm a Sigmarite myself. Never mind, that's for other people to decide. But I'm confused. You hunted a witch, and you burnt the village because of that, but the mine was collapsed. Wizard, do witches normally collapse mines? I've never heard that.
Have you heard anything about a missing keg or otherwise missing supplies from this noble house that Heinrich here mentioned?
Well, we wouldn't. I can answer that quickly. That is very suspicious, Inquisitor. Those sort of supplies are house supplies, and that territory is not in their territory, so unless they put it there, it was stolen from them. They would not have informed us of this. There's an awful lot of history there. I'll explain later if needed, but suffice to say, House Karsberger and House Todbringer do not get along.
Well, if there is in fact an innocuous explanation, I'm sure the Karsbergers will be happy to give it to me when I ask them about it.
Ulrich smirks a little at this, saying, how convenient. Yes. All right, thank you, Inquisitor. Noted. We are going to have to inform the Graf of this and the Barons, and, well, that's going to be a headache, but again, a headache for the Watch, not you, and the Graf. Suffice to say, there are other routes, including, as you've noticed, Kruger, mentioning a place called the Brass Keep. Are any of you familiar with that location? I don't think you would be, but I'll ask anyway.
Am I?
No. You are not. You've never heard of it.
Then I will remain silent.
No one has, in fact. So, on that pause, the short version... No one knows who built the original fortifications. It was, I believe, considered thousands of years old. But eventually, a fort was made there in a castle. A necromancer is said to have then ruled there, spreading evil. And then Sigmar came and dismissed them. Since then, Middenheimers in Middenland have tried to station this fortress in the Middle Mountains, and it has never been successful. They've said the place is a cursed location, and no one has been able to hold it for long. The last major movement made there was against the Great War of Chaos, as you know, a few hundred years ago. It was taken by the archenemy. All attempts since then to take it back have failed, and at present, the Karsburgers, whose lands are that region, have simply formed a picket and a defensive line to defend against anything coming from said place, which it has not, for my knowledge, for the last 20, 30, 40 years. A stalemate. An embarrassing one, I'm sure you can imagine, but with so many other things occurring in the lands, no one has had time to send a proper army that way. And I believe most people have decided to just forget about it. Until now, of course, and all this mention by this lot of stones there, and it being a route to something. That... Well, what are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Interesting. So, supplies would be perhaps leaking from around the Empire into the Middle Mountains through these different supply lines. I wonder if there's a way to cut them off in some way, but how do they connect to the Yellow Fang?
Well, we believe they're the ones running the lines. And speaking of cutting it off, that's what we're doing. Like I said, we think the leader has fled. We're executing and arresting those we've already found. We believe it or not, that at least on our end. Don't worry, he looks at you, Kruger. This is not the Purple Hand. We think we've got most of them. They've got away with it so long by being small. But that's not why you're here. You're actually here on something entirely different. Well, not entirely different, it is connected, but it's not actually I who've summoned you. That's why it's a shame Lady Siegfrieda's not here, but you'll simply have to relay it. Give me a moment, all of you. I'll be right back. And then the commander leaves. This is unusual, Kruger. What does he mean it's not him who's ordered you here today?
Well, there must be someone more important than that has something for us to do.
For a moment, you're left alone in the room. Do any of you say anything to each other while you have some privacy?
I bet you a golden crown. We know the person who's going to show up.
Oh?
Gerner, have you had the pleasure of meeting Lady Emmanuel Noct?
I give you at first a real stupid smile when you say my name, and then I just wipe it off and look away.
Ah, now it does ring a bell. You remember very briefly there was a woman you met. It was some time ago, though.
Yes, very shortly. Yes, she was there for the end of a briefing. Can't say I had too much of an exchange with her. Anything I should be... Well, she seemed important.
She does seem to feel that way.
The doors to the room open suddenly, and you turn, Heinrich. But it is not Lady Emmanuel Noct, although it is a lady. Another lady you do vaguely know, although only briefly. It's the woman you've seen, well, at an opera house, and also at the palace itself. A young blonde lady with curls in her hair, currently wearing a fine blue dress. She is flanked by someone none of you have seen before. This man is well over 6 foot tall, broad and bulky. He is currently dressed in full plate armor with a great wolf pelt on his shoulders. His beard, dark brown and extremely long and braided. He carries a gigantic battle axe on his back. And all of them are flanked by a great accompaniment of knights of the Order Panther. About 10 of them, who gently then just stand aside out the doors as these two come in. At this point, the commander comes in and announcing the Baroness Katrina Todbringer and Baron Rainer Todbringer.
It's probably appropriate to stand, isn't it?
Yes, I would think so.
from having been a bit around nobility in my other adventures with Sebastian, I do as is expected around such people.
I mean, not to make a show of it or anything, but at least show them the correct respects, insofar as I understand what those respects are.
The woman steps forward. Baroness Katrina Todbringer. Or as some call her, the princess, although you've all learned by now, especially you, Kruger, that apparently is a bit of a nickname and that she's not actually a princess. Please sit. No need to stand to ceremony. You're all very important heroes. I'm just me. Although the other man does acknowledge what you do and sort of give everyone a firm salute from the chest. Well met.
Well met indeed.
I greet them as well. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Understand you've had some troubles.
The large man moves forward. He looks you over, Gurner, for a few seconds, and then ignores you. He steps over to you, Heinrich. Looks you over. Shame about that badge. However, I have heard you are responsible for saving my city and my father. So despite that hat you wear, you have my thanks. May Ulrich bless this day, and bless the day you came to my city.
Well, your words are kind and sincerely appreciated, Baron.
And then he turns to you, Kruger. And you, also, have helped save my family, my sister, my father, and my city. May Ulrich bless the day you came to my city.
Thank you very much.
Know this. You need anything, I shall be there. I shall bring 50 of my knights and myself, and the axe of Ulrich will dispense your foes, in the name and glory of Ulrich, and in the name and glory of the Empire.
I stand behind and I'm starting to smirk at this man's incredibly pompous manners. So much that I have to look away and just stare at the window as if I had something very important on my mind.
I'm happy to let him indulge himself. I'm not going to interrupt a baron when he's boasting. That just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Especially a baron who is very tall and very broad, and that is a very fine axe on his back. But now I will be quiet, for sister has informed me that my plans are not suited today. Now, brother, I didn't say that. I simply said please, can I speak? Of course. And the large man does suddenly bow very low before his sister, before seeming to stand by the doorway, trying to do his best to look like a statue. I am the one who's called you all here today. I'm sorry, is Lady Wittgenstein not here?
Regretfully, she was injured in an attack recently and is recuperating.
Oh my goodness. No, I had heard that actually. Poor... such things should not happen in this city, and yet they happen far too often, as you would all know. Well, very well then, but it is important. I'm going to hope you'll all send her my best wishes and implore her of the importance of the task I'm giving you. I do believe that with her leading you, you're all needed.
I'm certain that as soon as she is well, she will happily join our service of the city as she has before. But pray tell, what is it that we can assist you with?
Of course. You've been talking to the Midden Marshal? Yes. He's made me aware of everything that's happening. You might find that surprising, Herr Hoffman, but I'm tired of letting other people do things for me. I've always tried to do good, and what good did that do? My father was almost murdered right under my nose, and brother was away, and obviously poor Stefan, who is brave in many ways, was not able to do much either, although I wanted to thank Lady Wittgenstein profusely for the help she has given Stefan. He's truly very fond of her. Gurner, you'd be starting to figure out who these people are, and yes, their father would be the Graf, the ruler, the ones the heroes of Middenheim saved quite recently, you believe.
Right, alright. Well, it does seem that they have more to say to the others in here, and hoping that there were more of them, So I'll just take a little step back, but I shall listen to what's being said, because I feel that I am going to be involved anyway.
Suffice to say, Miss Herr Hoffman and... yes, she focuses a little on your Inquisitorial seal, and you don't need to roll. There is a small bit of disapproval on her features, but she's being polite and tries to hide it, Heinrich. And you as well, Inquisitor. We need to do something. It was not... I can no longer stand back while things like these Purple Hand harm the citizens of my city and harm my family. I have been informed of this Yellow Fang and the actions they've been taking in my city, that they apparently are in league or were in league with the Purple Hand, and that they possibly are doing things that might even involve the Middle Mountains, and particularly the Brass Keep. And quite frankly, I want it stopped. I understand that, according to the commander, they probably are being dealt with right now in the city, but I am very concerned about why they would be going to a place like that. Apparently there are routes there that they have been taking, and I want it to be found out why. What were they doing? What were they up to? Is something else afoot during this time, where already Father's armies are too spread? And at this point, Reiner comes forward. Indeed! The armies are too spread, but we can sort that out soon, once the Nordland suppressions are sorted out, which will be shortly. Again, thank you for that, Herr Hoffman. We will be able to move. I have already told my sister the situation is simple. We will send 100 men to the Karsberger estate. We will demand answers from them and their cooperation, and if they refuse, I shall duel any of their representatives in the name of Ulrich himself, and the matter will be settled. Brother, thank you. I'm trying to express to my brother that while that might work, it also is what our enemies want. They want us fighting. They want conflict. Please, brother.
Sorry. I apologize.
You agree, don't you, Herr Hoffman? This is not the time for more soldiers and armies.
There has been a lot of violence and a lot of killing, a lot of... Yes... using weapons to try to solve things, and some of it has worked, but certainly it would make a lot of sense to try to give other tools a chance as well to work. We can always resort to violence if those should fail.
Exactly. That's where you four will come in, led by Lady Wittgenstein. I need you to go to the picket near Brass Keep. I need you to talk to the commander, Emmeline von Karsberger. She's not the head of the Karsberger family, but she is the one currently running that barricade. And I need you to find out what is going on, if possible, and then stop it. But you might be wondering why you... I'll be honest. My brother's plan is slightly erroneous in two ways, not only because of the military response, but if we do that, the Karsbergers will likely declare war on us. They have not been happy with my father's rule. They were once the Grafs of Middenheim long ago, but they lost that right to my family, and they have lost a lot of their lands, in fact, and they have never been very happy about it. They constantly think we're trying to undermine them. I fear that if we went ourselves, they would just ignore us or call it aggression, and already so much is happening in the Empire right now. I just don't think we can afford more possible revolt. So I need you four to go. Under Lady Wittgenstein, of course. I need you four to represent the heroes of Middenheim. You are travellers. You are not necessarily tied to us. You're simply doing good because you are good people. And to represent yourselves as that, so that you truly are there to help if there is something happening.
Well, yes, we would be happy to do so. I say, looking to the others to see if they would nod in approval to that or not.
Oh, of course. Oh, far be it from me to turn down the invitation of someone so powerful. And in fact, I think part of my job here is making sure that Inquisitors and Middenheimers get along, so...
Yes, exactly. You are to represent a peaceful option. We believe that these insidious people are planning something and that it somehow involves them. Ulrich has even said... You said it even could be an attack. Ulrich nods. It is possible indeed, Baroness. Think about it. Maybe this is all some scheme to support the archenemy in that fort, and maybe they are getting ready to finally make an attack on the keep. And maybe from there, march inwards to Middenland, hoping to take advantage of this time of unrest. See, it's possible, isn't it? I'm not mad thinking that's a possibility.
I nod as well, and I say, I appreciate the delicate situation between your two houses. Do you not think there's it would be proper to engage them earlier on as well? I don't know what foothold they have here in the city, just in case they've been losing supplies, and it would be in their side of the interest that this deal with the Yellow Fang gets resolved.
We already have, but their representatives of the city are minimal right now and already have departed. No, they don't want to listen. They think we are trying to come up with something against them. That's where you come in. You have to convince them. We want to help them. I want to help them. But we can't do it. It will take too long to do it officially. I need you to leave as soon as possible.
All right, for the picket then, I say, making a note to myself.
Yes, that is where House Karstberger have set up their defensive line and held it for far too long. Again, I agree with them. It is shameful that we haven't all been able to just unite and deal with this foe, but...
Yes, says Ulrich. It's not as simple as that. I've been told that the position is unassailable.
I'm not sure I believe that, but then again, I'm not a military commander, and I'm not going to send people off to their deaths.
Well, if anyone would know, it would probably be this organization. If they're indeed as organized as it seems, the Yellow Fang, then they probably know all the ins and outs of the place.
That is what we are concerned about, Wizard. We are concerned that this Yellow Fang have been trying to gather intelligence on the weaknesses of the picket. We haven't confirmed that, but it seems logical.
So it does.
So, you will do it. You will convince Lady Wittgenstein as well. All four of you. I need you to go on a diplomatic mission to the picket. I need you to convince them that we are trying to help, and I need you to find out what's going on, and if possible, stop it. Although I will not expect you to just throw your lives away, or something like that, you know.
Very good. We'll finish off any business we have here in the city, and as soon as Wittgenstein is back on our feet, we shall go.
Thank you. You have the city's thanks. You have my father's thanks. For now, we need to be quiet about a lot of this. Again, I know it seems silly, but it's better that the people don't know that we're trying to do all this behind the scenes. You understand? That people would gossip and all sorts of nonsense.
Let them gossip, sister. I will silence everyone who dares slight our family.
I don't imagine that will be necessary. If nothing else, keeping our journey discreet will prevent the enemy from learning of it just as much as the common man.
I understand the point of discretion, but I disagree with it. I want to come with you, but my sister is strongly suggesting that would be unwise. I disagree, but I will acquiesce. Even though I was unsuccessful in solving the Ostwald Talapglat issue, I need to do something too.
Yes, brother, I know. I understand. You are working very hard.
Besides, with the flying ship, they could be there in days.
Yes, but again, it would look too ostentatious. It would draw too much attention.
And at that, this large man again seems to sulk just a little.
I'm just exchanging glances with Kruger and Gerner as we all pointedly avoid getting in the middle of this family spat.
Yes, Kruger, and wow, this is the first time you've met him. Yes, this is Baron Rainer Todbringer. He's very different from Baron Stefan, and yet, it's from your knowledge, Stefan who is the heir. Both of these individuals, you would know, though people don't talk about much, are technically bastards. Legitimized bastards, but still bastards and not actually above Stefan when it comes to who will rule the city one day.
No, that's true. But I suppose given Stefan's health situation, perhaps this would be a solution that some would prefer.
Also, Gerner, did he just say flying ship?
I turned my head because I was in the middle of his ramblings, I started to go into my own thoughts again, but that brings me back, and I say, flying ship?
Yes! A flying ship! The first of its kind, made by the dwarves, the Engineers Guild. I took it on a test flight. That's where I've been. It is my great shame that I was not here during the time where you two saved my city. But I was supposed to be trying to stop the war that's occurring right now, and unfortunately I was not able to get it into their heads to fight honorably, and instead they have to have a whole bloody war.
Where is this flying ship now?
Docked just this morning. It's at the Engineers Guild, but you're not going to get to see it. The dwarves are very keen to repair it, and, well, you know how dwarves are.
Of course they are. Well, one can't help but being curious. Sounds like a technological marvel.
Well, it is a fine accomplishment between Middenheim and the dwarves. But, as my sister says, maybe she has a point. Maybe it is a little grandiose.
You'd also think to yourself, Kruger, a large flying ship? You have no idea how big it is, but that's definitely the sort of thing that people would see coming.
It would be rather obvious, and, well, arrows and ballista and other inventions, cannons, not to forget about those. Yes, there are plenty of things that are available to take down such an obvious thing. But it would, at first at the very least, come across as very impressive.
Katerina sighs a little. And do you have any questions? Again, I apologize. There's a lot of foolish politics getting in the way of this being more simple than it needs to be.
I look to the others. I feel certain that we will be able to figure this out as we embark upon this new mission.
Indeed, difficult to come up with questions, but I imagine by the time we have them, we'll be a bit too deep into things to rely on the princess. Besides, we've done plenty well in the past, just showing up and seeing what happens when we start knocking on doors.
And what of you, Gurner? This is slightly out of your wheelhouse, but it occurs to you, you're here probably because the Watch Commander wants you here. If you're dealing with potential people who might be a chaotic cult, although a beastman cult, interesting. Maybe that's why you've been brought on, because you are a wizard, and particularly a Grey College wizard.
There are many things that right now ties me to what's going on with the Yellow Fang. I myself am most curious about what was mentioned yesterday about Warpstone and the findings of Dagmar and what he was writing about the Chaos Moon and all that. Not to mention, of course, the murder of Richter. I believe that if I weren't involved in this, and if I stayed in the city, I'd be just another possible target. Better stay among capable people and do some good in the meantime.
Indeed. Besides, it sounds like the Yellow Fang are maybe no longer an issue here, but this location you're going to is somewhere that they've been going to.
Yes.
Maybe you'll find more answers there.
If that's where they took their supplies through, Brass Keep was mentioned. Yes, I will definitely take any moment I can to try and find some more tracks.
The princess looks you all over and gives you a little bow. Thank you. Again, you are the heroes of Middenheim. They can't ignore that. They can't just assume you're there to do bad things. You help people. And you are true heroes. And if I'm right, if I'm wrong, then you'll find nothing. Right? And it will just be a mild waste of time. But if I'm not wrong...
No, let us all hope that you are wrong for that sake. I would much rather have my time wasted than have Middenheim be threatened once again.
And with that, she departs. And this tall man, this Reiner, again gives you all a firm nod and takes his fist to his chest and beats it. And then all the knights come out of their reverie and accompany these two away, leaving you just with the Watch Commander. Wonderful. Again, please stress to Lady Wittgenstein that she is required for this. She is a noble after all, and the commander of that fortification is a noble as well.
Not that you three aren't good enough, but... Again, diplomacy. It will be considered as insulting not to at least send someone of noble standing.
Absolutely. I'm sure she will help open some doors.
No offense taken.
You depart soon as possible. Report to your superiors, gather your things. We have coaches and horses ready for the road east. Again, you heard the woman. Find out what the Elefag were doing at the picket. Find out if there is an attack coming in, and if it is, warn them. And convince them it's actually a true warning. This is not all some plot. Very well. Any final questions? If not, you are dismissed.
I take a bow. I don't see that there's anything more that I need to sort out at this point, and start making for the door.
And so the three of you leave. And for a moment find yourself standing outside the state barracks, in the great square, the great statue of Arthur, towering as it does in that square, very impressive. What do the three of you say to each other? It seems you're about to go on quite a journey. It might just be a small waste of time.
It seems a new journey is at hand. We're going places. Together, and with you as well, Gurner. This promises to be interesting. Let's hope it's going to be a little bit less dangerous than our previous journeys to places like Wittgendorf and the like.
Something tells me we've never been that lucky before, and we shan't be that lucky this time.
I just laughed nervously.
Well, it'd be good to get out of the city for a little while. I'm not used to staying so much in a densely populated area. We'll go somewhere nice and we'll meet some terrific people, I'm sure. Rub our shoulders more against that of other nobles, like the Lady Wittgenstein. I surmise she'll take a few days to recover, so... well, until then, I shall see to my senior's, Richter's burial, and I shall probably have a few more rounds with the watch, and I look over to Kruger. I don't know what they've been saying, but it's been good helping out in the city with some of the patrols.
Oh, well, we're very happy to have you. There's all kinds of dangers on the streets of Middenheim. We've eliminated many, but as we've just seen with these sewer dwellers, many threats still remain.
I nod, and grimly, at that. And just before we all split up, I look over at Heinrich again, and I say, Heinrich, do you read?
Quite recently, in point of fact.
I nod. And I take a deep breath, and I pull out an envelope, and it's grey and has a silver sigil on it. And I say, just for your eyes.
I won't make too much a show of it, but there's definitely a quizzical sort of expression on my face for just a moment, but I'll take it and then tuck it into my jacket, so I might open it somewhere private.
And then I nod, and I think to myself that I feel like letting off some steam. Maybe I'll go down to the Big Cheese's establishment and go some rounds in the ring.
And for now, the three of you part ways to report to your superiors, to pack and get ready for the coaches and horses that will await you tomorrow as you make your way east, leaving the city of Middenheim and heading to the Middle Mountains and the picket that lies just a little away from this brass keep.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this fourth part of the series, we are tackling The Horned Rat. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Minotron Omega, Aegerstonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We'd like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, Graham Barey, and Doug Thomson for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real, and even if they were, the Emperor has already dealt with that threat.